You clicked for a monster crawfish story, you're in the right spot. In the next minutes, you'll see how an indestructible, aquatic gorilla turned Louisiana's wetlands into a boomtown and a slow-burn disaster. It survives freezes, drought, even poisoning, then rebuilds from a single survivor.
Now many of Louisiana rice fields are seeded with baby crawfish every other year, which has created an entirely new source of food and income for farmers in the bayou.
Here's the tension we'll unpack. The same invader funding plants, shipping, and a backyard boil is chewing through levees, wetlands, and rice fields. Watch how the Mississippi became its superhighway, and why fishermen who once chased native fish now depend on the invader they can't afford to lose. Quick favor before we move on. If you appreciate this content, consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel. Believe it or not, more than 92% of viewers haven't subscribed yet. It's free and only takes a second, but it means the world to us. So did you subscribe already? Great, thank you so much for your support. Now back to the video. You see cages stacked on flatbeds and steam rolling off night plants. Forklifts beep, hoses hiss, and the line never sleeps. But the real story starts outside the fence, when a cheap protein slips out during storms and follows the water wherever it goes. Let's dive in. Red swamp crawfish were brought in to raise and eat. Simple plan: ponds, canals, rice paddies, steady protein for tight budgets. Then the storms came. Floods pushed past gates. Levees broke. Water connected everything that was meant to stay apart. Crawfish rode that surge into canals, into fields, then into bayous and the wider river web. Because of that push, a farm animal became a traveler. Here's the rub. The traits that make it perfect for a boil make it rough on wetlands. It burrows deep into levees and drains water where you need it held. It chews on roots that knit banks together. It hoovers up food and space before native species can get a grip. Think of every ditch and culvert as an on-ramp to a freshwater freeway. Once it reaches that flow, it keeps moving, exit to exit, pond to pond. Females carry large egg loads. That matters because one survivor can stage a comeback after a pond dries or a crew tries to clear it. The trick is in the burrow. When heat bakes the ground or toxins run through the water, it goes down and waits. Rain returns, the tunnel floods, and the cycle starts fresh. You see a pond reset. It sees a green light. Out on the water, the shift shows up in gear. Anglers who once set lines for native fish swap to heavy traps. The invader is steady. It fills traps when nets for other species come back light. Bait goes in, doors close, and by the next pull there's weight you can count on. That's how habits change. You follow what pays. This animal stays tough through cold snaps, dry weeks, and cleanup runs. Freeze hits. It shelters in mud. Drought cracks the topsoil. It holds in a moist pocket. A poisoning attempt moves through. It walls off and waits. Then it rebounds fast with a fresh wave of young. Control feels clean on paper and messy on the ground. At the plants, the boom is plain. Night shifts, tanker loads, boxes out the door, grills hot on weekends. The money flows with the water. But the bill lands on levee crews and on rice yields. Burrow lines weaken banks that keep towns dry. Field edges slump, water drains wrong, and the crop pays for it. You balance a ledger that never sits still. So how did one species turn into a $500 million force? Stack three things. Repeated storms link waters that were meant to be separate. Rugged biology keeps survivors on the board through hits that should end a run. Easy access to ditches, canals, and rivers turns a local farm animal into a regional harvest. You get a runaway economy built on a creature that also pulls at the supports under it. Watch how that plays out when the river itself becomes the carrier. The same water that feeds farms and towns now moves traps, bait, and seed stock in every direction. Next up, follow its march north and see why warmer seasons and busy commerce keep the pots full while the risk line climbs. If one survivor can reboot a pond, what do you get when a whole river loads them into the current and drives them across state lines? You get a spread that doesn't need permission. One bend at a time, one backwater at a time, the map fills in. Let's dive in. The Mississippi system works like a trunk with 1,000 branches. Feeders from Texas and the Gulf states pour in. Side channels carry silt, seed, and now crawfish. Because canals line fields and towns, and farm ditches link low spots, the network reaches out past the floodplain. Water finds a path. Crawfish follow. A culvert becomes a handoff point. A rice drain becomes a ramp. Now add heat. Warmer water lowers the brakes on growth and breeding. Freeze events that once thin numbers hit less often and end sooner. That opens a longer window to mate, lay, and hatch. On the logistics side, live-haul trucks, bait routes, and aquaculture transfers move stock faster than the current. When people shift gear in stock ponds, they shorten the distance between pockets that used to be separate. We've seen notes of new breeding groups farther north than you'd expect. Those reports line up with milder winters and shorter hard freeze runs. When you lose those cold snaps, you lose a natural cull. The baseline lifts, and each year starts from a bigger floor. Think of it like a thermostat stuck a notch higher, everything in the tank runs longer. Culture pushes, too. The boil scene turns steady demand into a calendar. Festivals, backyard cooks, and menu slots keep orders firm week to week. Plants expand lines to feed that interest. That means more traps on the water, more bait in, more hours worked at night. It's a machine that rewards volume and speed, and the invader fits that job. But the other side lands out on the marsh. Burrows riddle levees and banks. Roots lose grip where you want them strong. Wetlands that slow storm surge take a hit from feeding and churn soil. When you weaken that buffer, towns sit closer to the edge, even on clear days. You feel it in the way a small rain drains too fast in one spot and stalls in another. There's a thread we've seen on the coasts with green crab. Small predator, wide range, steady pressure on habitat and shellfish. The winds at the dock can hide the losses in the grass and mud. That pattern warns you not to read a fat truck line as a clean bill of health. Profit can make damage look like success. The more you tie paychecks to this animal, the harder it gets to say enough when ecologists call for control. Ask for fewer traps, and you cut hours. Ask for barriers on canals, and you slow deliveries. The fix and the fee sit in the same spot, and that's why the debate drags. So what makes it an aquatic gorilla? It's the stack. Tough biology that shrugs off cold, dry spells, and toxins. A climate tailwind that keeps the season open longer and widens the map. A market that pays for catch even when other species fade. Those three pieces build a loop. More supply feeds more demand. More demand funds more effort. Control gets pricey, and dependence grows in its place. Next up, we get practical. Out on the water and in labs, some tools work better than noise and wish lists. We'll walk through barriers that steer movement without choking flows, trap tweaks that cut bycatch, and harvest rules that bleed numbers without feeding spread. Then we'll mark where management ends and when it turns into a plan that locks the invader in for good. Out on the water, you feel the pull both ways. The crawfish that saves a paycheck today can hollow out the marsh that saves the coast tomorrow. That's the trade under every pot and dock light. Watch how you buy and what you celebrate. Support control-led harvests that thin numbers without spreading them. Back habitat repair that rebuilds banks and roots. Pick smart gear that cuts bycatch and blocks bad routes. If this helped, subscribe and come back for more trips and tips. The fight isn't whether we can stop it. It's whether we still want to when the pots stay full and the lines keep moving.